Every 10 years, America redraws its political map, a process called redistricting. It's a moment that quietly shapes the next decade of our democracy, often happening behind closed doors, but with consequences that ripple through every election, every community, and every household. Redistricting might sound like a technical chore, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful levers in our democracy. The way these lines are drawn can determine who gets heard, who gets ignored, and who holds power. The original idea is simple. As populations shift and communities grow or shrink, districts are redrawn to ensure everyone has equal representation. It's about making sure every vote counts the same, no matter where you live. But in practice, redistricting has become a fierce political battleground. Instead of just reflecting population changes, it's often used as a tool to tilt the scales of power. The people who draw these lines, often politicians themselves, can shape elections for an entire decade. With a few strokes of a pen, they can decide which communities are kept together and which are split apart. By grouping or splitting voters, mapmakers can all but guarantee wins for one party, locking in their advantage and making it harder for challengers to break through. When this is done for partisan gain, it's called gerrymandering, a practice as old as the Republic, but now supercharged by technology and data. Gerrymandering lets politicians pick their voters, not the other way around. It undermines the very idea of fair elections, leaving many voters feeling powerless and unheard. Today, this fight isn't waiting for the next census. It's erupting mid-decade, threatening to spark a constitutional crisis. The stakes have never been higher, as both parties battle for control of the map. With modern data and advanced mapping software, mapmakers can now draw districts with surgical precision, slicing through neighborhoods and communities to lock in political power for years to come. The result? Fewer competitive races, more polarization, and a growing sense among voters that their voices don't matter. When the outcome feels predetermined, faith in democracy erodes. Now, Texas is pushing to redraw its maps mid-decade, breaking with tradition and setting a precedent that could reshape the national political landscape. This move could tip the balance of power in Congress, and California, with its own history of redistricting reform, is preparing to fight back, determined to protect fair representation. The battle over redistricting is no longer background noise. It's front and center in America's political war. The outcome will shape not just elections, but the very nature of our democracy. The lines on these maps may look simple, but they hold the power to define our future, our communities, and the strength of our democracy for generations to come. California Governor Gavin Newsom is not standing by as a passive observer. Instead, he's stepping into the national spotlight, determined to defend what he calls the integrity of American democracy. As Texas redraws the rules, Newsom is making it clear that California won't simply watch from the sidelines. The Lone Star State's aggressive push to reshape its congressional districts has sent shockwaves across the country, raising alarms about the future of fair elections. On August 14, 2025, Newsom unveiled the Election Rigging Response Act, a bold and unprecedented move designed as a direct counter to Texas's controversial plan. The announcement drew national attention, with supporters and critics alike weighing in on the potential consequences. Newsom's proposal is simple but powerful. If Texas gerrymanders its districts mid-decade, California will respond in kind. It's a high-stakes game of political chess, with both states' futures, and perhaps the nation's, hanging in the balance. To make this happen, Newsom is calling for a special statewide election this November. He's asking voters to approve a temporary constitutional amendment, a rare and urgent measure that would give lawmakers new authority for a single redistricting cycle. If passed, this amendment would allow the California legislature to redraw the state's congressional maps for the 2026 elections, just this once, and only as a direct response to Texas's actions. It's a move that could reshape the political landscape for years to come. This plan marks a dramatic break from California's tradition of using an independent redistricting commission, a system praised for its fairness and transparency. Critics warn it could set a dangerous precedent, while supporters argue it's a necessary defense. Newsom's message is clear: meet fire with fire, but only if Texas acts first. He insists this is not about partisanship, but about protecting the rules of the game. If Texas backs down and abandons its mid-decade redistricting, California will do the same. In that case, the independent commission's maps will remain in place and the status quo will be preserved. But time is short. The legislature must act quickly to put this measure on the ballot, and with Democrats holding a strong majority, the odds are in Newsom's favor. Still, the debate is fierce, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The new maps, expected to favor Democrats, will soon be released for public debate. Lawmakers and citizens alike will have a chance to weigh in, and the process promises to be both contentious and closely watched. Newsom promises a transparent process, unlike the backroom deals he accuses Texas of making. He's pledging open hearings, public input, and full media access every step of the way. The plan is risky, and Newsom knows it. But he's betting that Californians will see this as a necessary defense of their rights and a stand for democracy in the face of growing threats. The fate of the U.S. House of Representatives could hinge on this high-stakes game between two of America's largest states. The outcome may well shape the direction of national politics for years to come. California is ready to use its power as a shield, not just for itself, but for the future of democracy across the nation. The next few months will test the resolve of leaders and voters alike. What's happening in Texas? A bold Republican power grab. Led by Governor Greg Abbott and backed by Donald Trump, Texas Republicans want to redraw congressional districts now, not after the census. This breaks decades of political norms. Their goal: gain up to 5 more GOP seats in Congress, enough to flip the House. Critics call it blatant rigging, not fair representation. If Texas succeeds, it sets a dangerous precedent: redraw maps whenever you have the power. The move threatens the stability of our electoral system. California's dramatic response is a direct reaction to this threat. Democrats see Texas's plan as the opening shot in a new war over democracy's rules. If not stopped, they fear it will spread nationwide. In Texas, Democrats are fighting back with every tool they have. To block the GOP's redistricting bill, Democratic lawmakers fled the state, breaking quorum and halting the process. It's a dramatic act of civil disobedience, buying time and drawing national attention. Governor Abbott is furious, threatening arrests and endless special sessions until Democrats return. The standoff has become a national spectacle, highlighting deep partisan divides. Some hail the Democrats as heroes, others call them saboteurs. This showdown is the spark for California's own drastic measures. Newsom and his allies see Texas's tactics as justification for an equally bold response. Newsom's plan is a calculated threat, a game of political chicken with Texas. It's a bold move, signaling that California is willing to match Texas, step for step, in the high-stakes world of redistricting. The tension is palpable, as both states size each other up, neither wanting to be the first to flinch. This isn't just about drawing lines on a map. It's about power, influence, and the future of American politics. The message is clear: if you gerrymander, so will we. California is making it known that it won't sit idly by while Texas redraws the rules. The stakes are raised, and the pressure is on for both sides to decide how far they're willing to go. There are 3 possible outcomes. First, Texas backs down, recognizing the risk of escalation and choosing to maintain the status quo. In that scenario, California stands down as well, and the immediate crisis is averted, at least for now. Both states retreat from the brink, and the fragile balance holds. Second, California blinks. Voters or lawmakers reject Newsom's plan, perhaps fearing the consequences of a tit-for-tat battle or doubting the wisdom of escalation. In that case, Texas moves ahead unopposed, redrawing districts to its advantage while California holds back, and the balance of power shifts. Third, neither side blinks. Both states redraw their maps, canceling out each other's gains but shattering long-standing national norms about fair play and restraint. The risk is enormous. A new era could dawn where every state redraws maps whenever it suits them, unleashing a wave of instability and partisanship across the country. The stakes are enormous, not just for Congress, where the balance of power could shift dramatically with every new map, but for the rules of American democracy itself. The very foundations of fair representation and trust in the system are on the line. This isn't just a partisan fight, it's a struggle over the integrity of the democratic process, with both sides testing the limits of what's acceptable. It's a test of whether political norms can survive raw power plays. If both sides escalate, the damage could be deep and lasting. The consequences could ripple through generations, eroding trust in government and making future cooperation even harder. The outcome of this standoff will shape the future of redistricting across the country, setting precedents for how states respond to political threats. The next moves in this standoff will echo far beyond California and Texas, influencing strategies in state houses nationwide. The whole nation is watching to see who swerves first, and what that decision will mean for the future of American democracy. Newsom's plan has split California. Top Democrats and progressive groups back him, calling it a defense of democracy. Labor unions and advocacy groups are mobilizing for the campaign, but Republicans call it hypocrisy, destroying a voter-approved independent commission for partisan gain. Congressman Ken Calvert, whose seat is at risk, is a leading critic. Opponents argue two wrongs don't make a right and urge a national solution instead. The fight is about more than maps. It's about fairness, process, and the soul of California's democracy. Both sides are gearing up for a fierce battle at the ballot box. At the heart of California's debate is a tough question. Should voters abandon their own reform? Californians created the Independent Redistricting Commission to keep politicians out of the process. Newsom's plan asks them to set it aside, temporarily, to fight Texas. Polls show most voters are wary of giving power back to lawmakers even for one cycle. Supporters say it's an emergency measure. Opponents call it a betrayal of reform. The special election will force voters to choose, defend the commission at all costs, or fight fire with fire to protect democracy. The outcome will define California's political identity for years to come. This isn't just a California-Texas fight. It could spark a national gerrymandering arms race. If both states redraw maps mid-decade, other states may follow, unleashing chaos. Every election could trigger new maps, endless lawsuits, and voter confusion. The idea of stable, community-based districts would vanish. Political stability would erode and voters would be caught in the crossfire. If Newsom's gambit works, it might restore the old norm. If it fails, the era of perpetual redistricting begins. The stakes nothing less than the future of American elections. We're at a crossroads. The California-Texas standoff is about the rules that hold our democracy together. If both sides escalate, the cycle of retaliation could destabilize elections for years. But if the threat of escalation forces compromise, it could spark real reform, maybe even a national ban on partisan gerrymandering. The choice before lawmakers and voters isn't just about lines on a map. It's about whether we pull back from the brink or plunge into endless partisan warfare. The next chapter of American democracy is being written right now. The question is, who will draw the lines?